This is my 2007 Porsche Cayman. I chose this car because it was by far the most bang for my buck that I could still afford. 7 or 8 months ago, I just got a new job, and it was my first job out of college. I had a nice little signing bonus, was making a good amount of money, and I felt like it was time for me to upgrade from my Mazda Miata. And so I was scouring the web, looking at older Porsche Boxsters mostly, and then I came across this '07 Cayman with pretty high mileage. It had about 75,000 miles on there or so. I was like, holy crap, this thing is a great deal. It was $21,000. And I was like, okay, I gotta go check this out. So I wasn't actually planning on buying it. I just wanted to go test drive it. So I test drove it, and I was like, wow, this is impressive. So I had it inspected. There was nothing wrong with it. It just seemed like such a steal, too good of a deal to not pass up, so I went for it. It's such an amazing car. It's fast. It's the first legitimately fast car that I've owned. The Miata was quick, for sure, but not fast. This car is actually fast. It handles at least as well as the Miata, obviously. Plus, it's way more practical, way more comfortable, better sound system, better in pretty much every way. How often do I drive it? I drive it pretty much every weekend. Maybe 3 out of 4 weekends a month or something like that. 2 or 3. The thing is, I live and work in the South because of my job. And so I spend pretty much the whole week in the South, and then I leave my Cayman up in Ann Arbor, which is my hometown, and when I come back to visit my family and girlfriend and things like that, which I do 2 or 3 times a month, that's when I get to drive it. So I have a car up there, and then I have a company car down in the South. I've put about 5,000 miles on it since I got it, though. So that's a pretty good amount of mileage for a sports car. And I've gotten the oil changed once, I've done regular maintenance on it, and it's just the same as when I got it in terms of condition. It's awesome. What do I love about it? Well, I already talked about a lot of things that I love about it. I love that it's fast. I love that it's beautiful. It's actually kind of nice to have a coupe instead of a convertible. I'll probably start missing the convertible again next summer maybe, but for now, it's nice to have the solid top. Sound-wise, dynamics-wise, everything, it's a little bit nicer. Oh, and also more space in the back. The interior makes me smile every time I sit in there. Awesome, comfortable seats, perfect driving position. Porsche's really nailed it. I also really love the sound of the exhaust. Wasn't really a huge fan of flat sixes until I got into this Cayman, and now for some reason this Cayman really speaks to me. Dynamically, it's amazing. Of course, I love that it's a manual transmission. I had to get a manual transmission, especially if you're buying a Porsche Cayman. I don't blame you if you get an automatic, but I definitely have a little bit more respect for people who get a manual Cayman because I think that's really the proper way to spec it. If there's anything I would change about it, what would it be? It's hard to say. It's pretty much the perfect sports car. I guess if there's one thing, I would say that the blind spots are really bad. And the blind spots, compared with it being a little bit bigger than the Miata, make it a little bit tougher to park and a little bit harder to see behind you and things like that. So I guess if there's one thing I would change is improve the blind spots or maybe make the car a little bit smaller. But that's just about it. What is something about owning this car that most people don't know? I would say one of the most common assumptions people make is that it's not a practical car because they say 2-seater sports car and they're like, oh, that's so impractical, I could never live with that. But in fact, it has a lot of storage space. It has 2 trunks since it's mid-engined. So the engine is down low in the middle, so you've got a hatchback in the back, and then you have another full, quite deep trunk in the front. And I would say most people don't know that, and sometimes when they see me put something in the front and then put something in the back, people are like, wait a second, where's the engine in this thing? And so then you have to explain to it. But Those are people who don't really know Porsches well. Or another thing that happens is people assume it's a 911, so they think the engine's in the back. But then they see me put something in the back and they're like, oh, wait, what's going on here? And then you have to explain to them no, it's not a 911, it's a Cayman. What is the most surprising thing about owning this car? Probably the most surprising thing, and it still surprises me to this day, is that I own this car at all. I feel very lucky that I'm able to own a car like this so early in my life. I've had a lot of really good opportunities that have come my way, and I'm very grateful that I happen to be in a position where I can own a car like this. I guess I just feel very fortunate, and that's probably part of the reason why I always let other people drive the car whenever I can, and I try to teach people how to drive manual and things like that, and make videos about it so that I can share this awesome experience. Another thing that surprises most people is when they hear what price I got it for. So I bought it for $21,000, which is cheaper than like a new Fusion. But people assume when they see Porsche and it's in decent condition that it's much more expensive than it really was. Now don't get me wrong, maintenance and stuff is pretty pricey. You do have to keep that in mind. So my oil change was like $225 just for the oil change. So you do have to watch out for the hidden costs, but a lot of people seem to be surprised when they find out what the actual sticker price was on this thing. What advice would I give to someone who's looking to buy one of these? I would actually say don't test drive it unless you're pretty sure you're going to want to buy it, because I went into this whole deal not at all thinking that I would buy this thing, but as soon as I test drove it, I was hooked. And I just had to. But seriously, on a serious note, if you like it and you can afford it and the maintenance, buy it. Because I don't know anybody who's regretted it. Everybody that I've talked to that owns a Cayman loves it. I think it's a super underrated car. You don't actually see a lot of the first generation Porsche Caymans, especially the non-S models. You hardly see any of those on the road. But everybody I've spoken to who owns one loves it. I love mine. So I would say go for it. You're not going to regret it. If you do regret it, I'll give you my phone number and you can complain to me because that's how much I believe in it. Thanks for watching this interview with myself, guys. And make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.